79T 2458 Learning Corp. Little Red Riding Hood. Take one.
Good morning, fellas. I wanted to start you off well. I hope I got the timings right. It's usually a 5 count after you hit the go button. And you guys should catch that meme in its entirety. If you missed the first section of it, I will play it again for you. It's the newest Red Morning ad. Oh, welcome, guys. I am feeling rednecked as F today. And like typical me, okay. Look, I hate those guys who are like, talk about me. This one's a good one. This is a confession, I've never been to a pro bass shops. Ever. And we were out in the suburbs, also known as Little India. And we found one. And girls like, I've never been to one of those. I'm like, I've never been either. Do you want to go? Like, yeah, I want to see. Like, do they really have a lake inside? And they did. They had salmon swimming around in a lake. We're like, holy geez. A bunch of like brand new Canadian immigrants are sitting there taking photos, trying to touch the fish. I was like, that's crazy. And then the more crazy thing was I go in and they're selling like ammo in a Canadian store. I'm like, I haven't seen ammo for sale in forever. Like, I live in downtown Toronto. You don't even see like pocket knives here. It's just crazy. Anyways, so I know everybody always has those redneck pro bass shops hats, and I saw them and I was like, oh, there's one in camo green and there's one in like camo orange. And then I saw one in like Barbie pink, and I'm like, yeah, I got to get that. And so I grabbed the receipt and I put it in there. It's only like $10, but I'm like, I'm writing that off. It has to be a business expense. It has to be. And I was thinking, like, this is like, if you ever wondered, like, what is this show and who is this guy and what's he talking about? This sums it up perfectly. An absolute redneck that's willing to rock like a pink trucker outfit just to fuck with people. I'm a real man. Oh, good for you. Can you wear pink? No, I don't do that gay stuff. All right, then. Fair enough. Rednecks just call it Bass Pro. Fair enough. It's silly me. I read the entire sign. Hope it's right side up, by the way. I don't know if the thing's flipped up. Anyways, now we're past the preamble here. You're like, all right, now I understand why he's wearing that stupid fucking hat. The episode, as you can see, it was a little bit of like 1700s political satire, to which you must be like, what and why would you do that? And it all started from seeing this stupid conversation about bears. Chicks are on Twitter right now saying, I'd rather live with a bear than a man. To which the guys are like, dude, bears are savage and brutal. And to which the girls are like, men are savage and brutal. And then the guys are like, statistics and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, what a ridiculous, like, we've had Fresh and Fit and Pearl and Andrew Tate talking about how to be a real man for the last, 2-3 years? Has not moved an inch on the ability for men and women to understand each other. It's like, women don't give a shit. Women don't want to hang with bears. They want to piss you off. And so when you're getting mad at them because you guys are getting it wrong, your feelings are stupid. And I'm going, yeah, I just don't want to entertain anybody's little arguments like, well, they're bringing it to the, like, they're not. I'm looking at it in real time and nobody's any smarter for, you yell at women all day, give them White Claws. Not 1 inch. Not 1 inch of enlightenment has happened. Don't give me this whole I'm saving men's lives. And that's got me started into the rabbit hole. And that's when I found out about Radithor. You know, the Fallout series came out, radiation's big, and so's Coca-Cola and stuff. Or Nuka-Cola. I saw, you know what, that collar keeps bugging me. And it was this old drink they used to sell. It had like a little bit of radiation in it. And it was killing people. And after it killed like a dozen people, they're like, maybe we shouldn't let people drink nuclear radiation. And then they had to bury, those people were so radioactive, there was like a golf pro in that, they had to bury him in a lead casket because he was irradiating the gravesite. And everybody's like, I mean, do you want Night of the Living Dead? Because that's how you get Night of the Living Dead. Just take a bunch of people, give them radiation poisoning, and then bury them in an Indian burial ground. That'll work. It's like, no, I know how this ends up. You don't want this, sir. You don't want this. And so then that's the rabbit hole. I realized, like, we have not gotten any better. We have not advanced at all. We haven't advanced in the sexual marketplace and that stuff. it actually makes me feel better that like at least me and Rolo, our work is still sticks to the very simplest of stuff. And granted, I haven't watched the last podcast, so if he's ranting about like the JQ or something on his latest Rolo Tomasi live, don't quote me. I missed the last few episodes. I'm not perfect. But yeah, and you realize like nothing changes. Nothing changes. Nothing moves. There used to be a question guys love to ask, red pill guys. Or no, girls did when they were like, it was their own version of like, hey, would you rather live with a bear? What would you do if I was a worm? They would say some shit like, well, if red pill goes mainstream and everybody becomes red pill, but then won't the entire environment change? And our answer at the time was, dude, that's not going to happen. But it could. What happens if everybody did? It's like, not everybody's going to. And I firmly believe that 10 years ago, we fucking nailed it. Nothing is changing. Nobody cares. I stick to my bell curve theory that like a third of the guys were going to thrive no matter what the fuck happened. A third of guys were going to fail no matter what benefits you give them. And then a third of guys are just going to mull along and kind of do okay, but kind of miserable. Shift the bell curve over a little bit. And there's a sliver of guys that were going to be awesome, but now are struggling. And there's a sliver of guys who were struggling that are now hopeless. Those two slivers, that's the demographic. That's the red pill demographic. I don't know which one of them you guys are. Let me know in the chat. Are you the could have been alpha in the 1950s, or are you the hopeless zoomer of the future? I don't know. I like how Jack Napier's talking about getting a tan. Dude, you're Dutch. Shut up. You getting a tan is like saying you can win World War II without the Canadians. It's just not happening. It's not happening. So yeah, nothing ever changes. We still have, let's see, and I got my points here. I was going to rant about snake oil, radioactive drinks, Radithor, the feminists did everything. Even if it's true, what are you going to do about it? Of all the material of the red pill, why focus on the hose? And I think we just like to watch clowns fall down. Attention economy stuff. And I'll end it off with something like what really matters, and nobody has to preach it on TV. It seems like a nice little thing here. But I've been rude. And I'm yelling into the mic here. I just get passionate. It's my Latino blood. How was your day? How was your week? Did you guys watch Jack's show? Have you guys seen Stripper's Substack? Which, by the way, if you guys would be ever so kind as to put a link to some of your stuff here, I realize that the people that like this show, which I don't know why you do, but whatever. I'm not going to judge you for quality. I wouldn't watch it. People who like this show, they probably also like Rolo's show, maybe Paul, Thor, all the guys, right? That's like a very small network, and it's pretty unique. It's not like the rest of YouTube. It's not like the Mr. Beast stuff on YouTube. It's not like the AI conscript East Asian content farm stuff. It's not like the current like red pill manosphere stuff where they're yelling at women. It's a very unique thing, and so I think it's not even for like, hey, helping out the little guy. It's more like, you know, as you, a guy who likes to view stuff, here's some stuff that's similar to it. And I gave you guys the mod thing specifically to mention it, so get in there, get on it. So what was I going on here? Oh yeah, the radioactive snake drink. So that's the plan for today. We will see what happens, and now let's make fun of that goofy Edmonton bitch that drove me fucking nuts.
Here's a story of a cocky lady who thought her gold standard was legit. Then finally when she got an actual challenge, it all went to shit.
Dude, I don't hate people. It takes too much effort. I don't hate people. But as close as I can get to using that word unironically, I fucking hate Date Psych. He is such a moron. Like, it's painfully obvious. If you guys don't know, there's the guy in the bottom there. He looks like the Aladdin's genie that they haven't colored in the lines yet. It's obvious. He's like a 50-year-old PhD student. And I'm like, I'm all up for being a professional student, whatever. I'm sitting here doing this shit. So, like, I can't judge for that. But the point is, like, I know you're only there to get laid, because that's how you can make it 47 years or however long in academia and still not gotten a PhD or left to go do something productive with your life. That's got trust fund baby written all over it. And I know Rolo has this rant, which Not gonna lie, not a conspiracy channel guy. But it really is like a DNC slush fund thing. I get it. There was a bunch of podcasters, and we were talking about them a couple years back, where they're like, yeah, our new plan to win for the Democrats. And it's not because they're like, oh, all politics are like, no, the other guys are pretty stupid. But they are paying influencers to preach about how good things are. And the only reason I believe it is because we do that hard in Canada. Hard. Trudeau gave like $100 million out just to get any influencer to talk well about them. How bad is that? Like, you know you're a trust fund baby when you have to pay friends. Pay to have friends. Dad gave you $20. You gotta come hang with me now. Oh, fine. Sacre monde. Tabarouette. So yeah, and that's why you saw Trudeau was on Drag Queen Story Hour or whatever, or the one where they bake. The show where it's like all the drag queens and they have to bake a cake to win the championship. Which, as far as premises go, like, bro, that's some sci-fi wonderfulness right there. I see your super chats. I'm gonna get it. Just a sec here, Null. Anyways, and then yeah, like Cambridge Analytica, all this stuff. I'm not gonna get political on this one. The point is, like, I see a lot of AstroTurf, and it kind of reminds me of, like I was saying, Radithor. It's all just Radithor. We haven't changed. We're lying to each other, selling each other snake oil, telling us things that we don't know. And yeah, it's the newest iteration, and you get savvier at it, and that's one of those benefits of being red pilled that I like. Not the crazy, what's what the JQs, like, no. I mean, like, actually red pilled. Like when a girl's like, I have a headache, not today. You realize she doesn't have a headache, but she's pretending she has one, and she actually believes she has one. But why does she have the headache? Oh, it's because she's not attracted to you. Why not? Well, you treat her too well. Shit like that. And then once you kind of get through this stuff, and you're like, oh yeah. And it's funny because, like, most of the marketing you see nowadays is basically the way a underfucked wife talks to her husband. And then once you kind of make that connection, you're like, oh, this makes so much more sense. Now I realize why you're bullshit. I couldn't put my finger on it, but now I can. That's why you're bullshit. Radithor. So Null, €10 super chat. The euro's still around. Well, I guess Britain wasn't that bad. I am what I am, and nobody cares. I am so happy. You know what? That actually is a wonderful sentiment. I thoroughly enjoy it. I'm probably going to steal that for a tweet. I am what I am, and nobody cares, and I am so happy. Which is great because it's completely counter to the narrative you're getting now, which again is like hippies and feminists and shit, where it's oh, we don't judge. Everything is just inclusive and no judgment. It's like, no. That's the one where I am what I am and everybody has to care. I prefer I am what I am and nobody cares. I'm going to wear a pink Pro Bass hat. I'm going to look like I hunt. I'm going to look like Pink Marty McFly if he's on a truck. And I'm good with that. Null again, €10 super chat. Glad I caught you live. Dude, I'm glad you caught me live too. It's this thing, like, I kind of feed off the audience a little bit. And guys like you, Nonstop Dre, Stripper, Jack even. The one place Jack has a personality is in my live chat. So, you know, I just like, I enjoy it. It's better because then it just seems like I'm ranting like an idiot into here with like no feedback. I understand now why Matt Rife likes his crowd service. And then, oh, a Pringles can, what's the full name? A Pringles can with something. I can only see a Pringles can with V. Morning Couch, loving your new audiobook. So I feel like it's all a psyop. Do we just ignore it? Yes and no. Yes and no. And I'm going to get there. Yes and no. Like, ignoring it is one thing, but here's the problem is that the reason, my estimation as to why this stuff is effective, like, why does your wife say she has a headache and that? First off, it's motivated. Like, if your wife is saying, you know, maybe if you did more dishes, we'd have more sex and I'd be more comfortable. And you're motivated because you want to have sex. And then she told you this flat out lie, but in your heart of hearts, you want to believe it. And so you kind of go along with it. It's the same as hypnosis. Like, if you ever go to one of those hypnosis shows, they always say they can't hypnotize somebody unless they're willing. So you have to be willing to kind of go along with the thing for it to work. It's kind of like this weird thing where we opt into our own manipulation. Rusty Fuel with a $1. By the way, Pringles can with the $5 super chat. I am going to re-edit the Jack Murphy Red Morning ad. Something like a 5-second snappy thing for every time somebody gives me a $5 super chat. Right there. Just like a Jack Murphy fuck you. You've inspired me, sir. I'm going to even give you a like for that. And then Rusty Fuel, it's fun to judge people. It is fun to judge people. I would argue just judge quietly. Don't judge openly. Because then that creates issues. Sometimes it's much better to just silently make a character assessment of somebody and then take actions based on that. And another thing I've learned from Trudeau, and this is why I told you guys, he is the first pickup artist prime minister of Canada. I mean, I told you about his old routine where he used to fall down the stairs, and then when the girl would go check on him, see if he's okay, he's like, yeah, I'm in there. It was back when he had like his Zorro thing and the thing here. It was fucking ridiculous. I'm sure Robert Greene did. It's been a while. I don't look at that one nearly as much as the other stuff because it's just like, limited use. So where am I going with this? Was the intro... What? There was no sound? Okay, somebody confirm to me, did the Jack Murphy thing have sound when you watched it? If not, I'll play it again and I'll make sure the sound is on. Oh, that's not gonna good. All right. Where was I going with this one? Oh, yeah, the thing. So he would talk a good game. Okay, no sound. I'll fix that one. He would talk a good game about being like a great feminist this, a great feminist that. And I guess some chick in his cabinet, like the attorney general, wanted to investigate some of his donors. And so he fired her ass and did some like very and like called her a bitch, all that kind of stuff. And then all he had to do was just flat out lie. They're like, you thought you said you were a good feminist. I am a good feminist. We're doing this. But there's this right here. That's something that a right nationalist would say. And I'm like, dude, that's amazing. Like you can literally, people are stupid enough that you can do something based on a judgment of somebody in your own self-interest. And then they can call you on it. And then you just tell them what they want to hear. And then they just believe you and shut up. And I was like, holy crap, you could do that? It's crazy. A Pringles can. Oh, Pringles. It's a Pringles can with veins. Hail Hydra. Thank you, Pringles can. All right. I got to fix the Jack Murphy ad now because I don't really want you guys to. Can I do it without? You guys might have to see some. Okay. Apologies now.
Road cuckolding his wife. Clear up.
Oh, there it is. All right. Got it now. We're good. I feel bad because you're watching this. You're like, what the fuck's going on? Without sound, it misses like a lot of the je ne sais quoi. Here we go. Full on. You know what? I want to make a timestamp with this. I think it's that important that somebody turns this on and be like, why am I quietly watching Jack Murphy yell at somebody? Jack Murphy ad with sound. Let's go, baby.
So the meme, they're very good. This is really, they've taken it.
True Alpha.
Named Ryan Stone.
This says, ask Murphy about the article he wrote, cuckolding his wife. Clear up the cuck article. Clear up the cuck article.
Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me?
If I wasn't prepared to literally impoverish his entire bloodline.
I am now concerned for my career.
And I still recommend
Clear up the cuck article.
You know what? Fuck you for bringing this up. Yeah. Fuck you. Heartfelt.
I'm not going to have those guys back on my channel again. Absolutely not.
Just use a little bit of fucking common sense.
It is just...
That's great. That's you should.
Fuck you.
Sorry, apologies.
Just keep going, dude. One foot in front of the other. Before you know it, this will all be in the rearview mirror. Fuck you.
So I say this on every video I make. I say, this is my magnum opus. I am so proud of this one. And I'm saying it again. This is it. This is the one. I'm proud of this one. It's my magnum opus. Shinderu. Is that what that goofy trap music is? Peaky Blinders? That's funny because that was in the thing. So yeah, so that's where the heartfelt fuck you came from. Now you guys get to know that. You get to know that little bit of lore. Normally these ads were supposed to be about somebody shitting on me and then me making an ad out of it, but that one I'm like, it's just too good. I reference it too much. It's like Pat Stedman. Yeah, the 80s bumper music. There's so many subtle things in there. Like at one point, there's like a Family Matters intro. You know, clear up the cuck article. And I was like, that would be a great 90s sitcom. There's like the Navy SEAL copy paste. Yeah, it's great stuff. Anyways. So we're going to finish off the topic about snake oil, radioactive drinks, and Radithor. That explains why everybody uses it then, because it seemed like such an out-of-place tune. Now that it's from Peaky Blinders, it's the Sigma Male grind set shit. Oh, that sucks. I paid some dude to like do some shorts for me because I wanted to test it out. See if it was economically viable. It wasn't, by the way. But he kept throwing this weird trap music on. I'm like, why do you have this music? It makes it sound ominous and evil. And now I realize he's doing Sigma male grind set shit. I'm like, dude, last thing you want is me on your Sigma. Like, I'll do Sigma male grind set stuff, but calling it that is just cringe. Why you gotta make me sound like an artard? Anyways, yeah, radioactive drink, snake oil. And that's, like, if you guys don't know the history of snake oil. Wait, Carl Winslow was part of the Puff Daddy thing? What? That's not true. That can't be true. Tell me it isn't true. Sergeant Al Powell is now Sergeant Al Pounded in the Ass? I refuse to believe it, sir. If you guys don't know Puff Daddy, turned out he was the Epstein of the black music scene in America. He's pulling an OJ right now, running from things. Jesus, that's crazy. All right. Oh, yeah, the snake oil. So if you guys don't know the history of snake oil, it was in the American Golden Age, like the 1800s. And people would go from town to town to town selling elixirs and tonics. And if you were lucky, it was mostly just like liquid cocaine and stuff. Because back then you could just buy cocaine. Everybody's like, yeah, that's cool. Cocaine, heroin, opium. And they would they'd put plant guys in the crowd. They'd make up stuff. They'd tell you what you want to hear. Everybody would buy it. And then by the time they find out, hey, I can't see straight and my liver hurts, the guy'd be off in the next town. And he'd go doing it there. And that was and then they would always call it snake oil because a lot of the thing they used to do in the South was like the venom of the snake will actually have tonical properties. And so that kind of term caught on. It came from the same entomology of snake oil, grifts. Grift is being like a graft is like how much material you can pick up in a shovel. So a shovel has this much graft. And the idea of a graft is like a giant a scam that taxpayers defrauded, shit like that. Like the ArriveCan app, $50 million to two dudes in a basement. In Canada, that's a reference. You guys don't know it in the States, that's fine. Grift was like a little one, un petit graft, So these all came from the same place, and they're applying now. Once you learn this stuff, it applies now. Like, dude, you see absolute nobodies, and I'm saying this as a nobody. Like when the nobody's calling you a nobody, you're a fucking nobody. Like one person will recognize me in my life, and nobody recognizes you. Your mother doesn't recognize you. Why are you talking shit about random people? Like I could mention names, whatever. Most of the time they just fucking start running their mouth off. That's why I hate mentioning them. It's like Candyman, but ridiculous. Anyway, they come on here. They're like, hey, just so you know, feminists are trying to kill you, and the fucking politics hates you, and the only thing I can save you is Christ or my course or shit like that. And they always they fill a fear, they create a need, and then they fill a need with things. And then by the time you find out, Tate, great example of this. A lot of people don't know this. Tate used to have, I knew him back in the day before he was Andrew Tate. Before he owned his Bugatti. And I'm not saying this to be proud. I'm just saying, we were introduced, kind of got to meet the guy, made a quick assessment, quietly going, what a fucking idiot. I recognize this. This is the low-level Hells Angels guys that always used to be hanging around my place when my stepdad would be chopping vehicles for them. I'm like, Jesus. Anywho, allegedly. I don't know this for sure. I just like saying it. I don't want to get that whole Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas treatment from the Angels, No, they're good people. Where was I going with this? Oh, yeah. So he was doing a Forex scam where he's like, yeah, if you sign up to my thing, I will tell you when to make trades from which currency to which currency. You'll guarantee to make money. Needless to say, nobody made money with it. And their whole plan was to make it such a needlessly complex type of trades and times of day that nobody could do it perfectly. And the reason he did that is because if somebody was like, hey, I just lost half my money on this, he would point to it and say, well, on these 3 dates, you did the trades, but you did it way too late. You did it 2 hours later than you're supposed to. So obviously it's not going to work for you. Timing is critical. And you know that thing where he yells at you how it's not your fault because you just weren't alpha enough? That thing. And it was funny because autists are wonderful, man. Every now and then, they're wonderful. Anyways. Simping for single moms, $2. Does Apple Eater stand a chance or Castro JR forever? Yes. Possibly not, though. Possibly not. Oh, so some autists actually did everything. Exactly. To the T. Some neat sitting at home, some little goofy autist out there, and bless that guy. He had because back when Tate was first shitting on me and all that, people would start sending me stuff. Like, hey, just so you know, fuck this guy. And I'm like, I did not realize he had like an army of about 100 people that he lost money scamming who were like desperate to like, here, kick his ass. And I was like, oh boy. And the one was somebody did the math of all of his Forex trades and the amount of bad calls he made. It was mathematically impossible. You could have just randomly done these trades and ended up with like a better outcome than his. So his was actually worse than random chance, which is impressive. Like, you have to be really bad. And that's when I kind of also noticed, like, not only is he kind of scammy, but he's also kind of incompetent. Yeah. But that's everything now, man. Like, you'll sign up to somebody's something and it'll suck. Jack Murphy had his liminal order. Or liminal. Coming out with the last bit of hay fever here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to show you a quick ad. I got to clean up for a sec.
If you're sitting there and going, oh, my wife's a 3, I play Tekken for pennies, my name's Ryan Stone, your life sucks. So he actually nailed it. Don't start something you won't finish. Don't start something you won't finish. Everyone's having a little bit of faith. My name's Ryan Stone, I play Tekken for pennies, chill a little bit, and just go, you know what? Tate's got it.
Ah, much better, much better. Anyways, what was I saying here? Oh, yeah, the scams and the grifts. And it's everything. It's your boss saying, you know, could you come in a little bit more? Maybe if you worked a little bit harder, did a bit extra, we'll look at you for promotion. And you never get promoted. The wife's like, maybe if you did more dishes, we'd have more sex and I'd be more comfortable. And you never have more sex from it. And so everybody's kind of doing the same. It's almost like it's human nature to want to grift each other. You know? Snake oil salesman. And it turns out men are all the dupes. Every man out there is the dupe. And it kind of reminds me of the old, there used to be the red pill, like the 3 guys that started the red pill subreddit. There was Whisper, there was Human Sock Puppet, and then there was PK Atheist or Robert Fisher. Morbidly Obese, $2 super chat. Thanks for being my dad 2.0, my shepherd, my couch. Dude, why do you want me to yell at you in chat? My dad, my shepherd, my couch pill. Ugh, I guess it's better than God Emperor jokes, so I'll take it. You know what? I'll take it. Corey Capella got ripped off by Tate's trading thing. I love how you guys know the lore. Nobody knows who the fuck Corey Capella is. That coked out guy. We're like, Rollo's like, yeah, try him on for the cast. I think he might be good. Or maybe he knows John. Dude, there's one thing I gotta say. Like, MLD John, much as I love the guy, every time he's like, I got this new guy. We're gonna bring him on the thing. It'll be great. Every one of them has been a fucking moron. I was like, Jesus. Rollo, like, it's 50-50 on his, but that's fine. Although, having said that, I think I've only brought, like, one guy on there. So I'm batting 100 right now. He goes, Jack. Yeah, I brought Jack, so it worked out. The Human Sock Puppet line. So the Human Sock Puppet line was, you know, you're a man. You're the only one fit to have anything, accomplish anything of worth. So everybody is going to try to manipulate you by hook or by crook, by threat of force or whatever to get you to do what they want you to do. And your job is to make sure you're getting yours at the end of all this. And it's like, it's a little more eloquent than that, but that's the deal. And that's the deal. And it's true. Wife's manipulating you to keep going to work and earning for her lifestyle, but not trying to fuck her. Boss is trying to manipulate you to working harder, working longer, doing more, but not taking any more money for it. The snake oil guys are trying to sell you more snake oil. Everybody wants something from you. And I honestly... So yes, there is the sexual dynamics part. There's, you know, a single guy trying to get laid a bunch. There is the guy who's thinking about settling down. How do you know you got the right one? And the answer is you don't. You just make your best guess based on behavior and work with the problems as they come up. Girls are mostly interchangeable, so it's not so bad. Then there's the marriage ones. My wife's yelling at the kids and she won't fuck me. What do I do? There's all of that stuff. And I'm almost wondering, like, how much of this is guys aren't even there yet. Guys aren't even there. Just the very basic bitch skill of knowing when somebody's trying to bullshit you. And I know it's been a thing for as long as I've been around. I remember this in the 90s where it was like, you see all these kids that were nice middle-class suburban types, and they were the most gullible, naive people out there, and they were a giant market. It was just amazing. Like, the rich people tended to be pretty savvy, and the poor people tended to be really street smart and savvy. It was just that big group in the middle, and that's where it seems like all of these guys are falling for shit. So like, how do you detect it? And it's funny because, and I should have pulled this up before the show, but that's fine. I can pull it up now. It was a great thing Whisper did about lies. I think it was called Distrust This Particular Flavor. Oh, for crying out loud. Are they going to make me have a... I got to do this thing here. This is such bad radio. Where you have dead air. They're like, the one thing you never want to have is dead air. And I'm sitting here typing, clacking away on the keyboard with dead air. All right, flavor. There it is. Distrust that particular flavor. 2018. So it's not my usual 8 years ago post, but it's like 6. And it's great because he's like, let's talk about the blue pills. Note that there's plural blue pills. And for the definitions, red pill just means things that are effective, things that work. Blue pill means things that you're gaslit or manipulated into believing. It's fairly simple. And that's always been what the red pill's about. So, blah, blah, blah. Grasping the truth about women and sex is one thing. About grasping the truth is quite another. But does anybody think that women are the only thing in life you've been lied about? Or, yeah, of course not. And the part I like is he had kind of like a little list. It's not a complete list, but it's a nice list. Blue pills have an aftertaste. Learn to distrust that particular flavor. You know, lies are told by those who want them believed. And that's makes sense, right? Like, if somebody's telling you a lie, they tend to benefit from it in some way because they want something from you. They want your validation. This is another one of those things. As a red pill guy, you learn you stop being dishonest because you find out that dishonesty is a validation seeking behavior. You lie to your wife. Oh no, you don't look fat in those jeans, because ultimately you don't want to hurt her feelings. You want to be a nice guy. You're afraid of conflict, or maybe you just want to fuck her later. So if she feels bad, she won't, right? All very manipulative stuff. Meanwhile, you're a red pill guy, you either be honest about it. It's like, hey, you could stand to lose a few. You know, I'd rather have a wife that tries to lose weight than one that doesn't. Or you're just like, it's none of your business. Or, you know, don't ask me stupid questions. And then just like, I'm not answering that because it's a stupid question. So you don't have to answer things, right? And that's the thing. People who lie and they want you to believe it. And you can tell, like when I see, for example, that goofball, who's the one that didn't knock up the prostitute? Oh, right. Myron. I knew his name. Myron sitting here, and as soon as you push back on anything, he just says bro really fast. It's almost like Tim Pool, where Tim's like, whoa, 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 and then revolution. And you're like, what was I talking about? I don't know. It's almost like where they have to call truth or base, or like when I go to like chase my dogs around the house and they run up on the sofa as if that's like the home base. I'm like, dude, I could beat your ass on the sofa. Not a hard thing. So yeah, truth, lies are told by those who want them believed. And then the next one, truth could be observed on your own, but lies spread from the authors. And that's the thing. And this is where the marketing stuff kind of comes in. So, for example, did you notice that stupid chart? Everybody loves throwing out that like 30% of men are celibate now and virgins. And everybody looks at it like, oh my God, this is horrible. The plight of men. Like, it's never some guy saying, yeah, I'm one of those 30%. It's always like, oh my God, I'm in the 70% of men that are still getting laid. But I feel so bad for these poor little stray cats around here. And it's from one study, has no bearing on reality, in one little place at one time. Now, assuming the study is not bullshit, which it is, and assuming that it was conducted properly, which it wasn't, and assuming the conclusions that it made were like referenced in the data, which they usually aren't, and then assuming the guy who made the chart based on the data knew what he was doing, which he usually doesn't, and then the guy who's parroting around there to make a point knows what he's talking about, which they usually don't, yes, you can take that chart as gospel. But I made an example yesterday of why you know it's bullshit, right? Like, out of all the friends you have, all the coworkers, how many of them are virgins? And most guys will say, like, maybe one. Maybe one. There's that one guy who's in a dead bedroom. There's that one friend of theirs they know isn't getting laid. And that's it. Does that jive to you with, like, being equivalent to that stupid graph? Not really. Not really. Truth could be observed from the universe, but lies spread from their authors. And that's why you see every like online influencer like, oh, Men is horrible. Men is bad. Look what the feminists did. 30%. You know what I mean? Remember that before? Lies are told by those who wanted to believe. Men aren't fucking. Are you one of those men? You're like, yeah, I haven't gotten laid this week. Well, I have a course for you. You're like, oh, thanks, man. What's the course say? Well, the trick is just swipe a lot on Tinder. You're like, oh, for fuck's sakes, I already knew that. And that's the third one. Like, lies are told to get you to do something. They want you to do something. That's always the best one. I love this. Everybody who has these goofy charts or spreadsheets, or everybody telling you how feminists did this and this, there's always some call to action at the end of it. Ever notice this? Like, I don't care what the fuck you do. This is why I always, like, guys are like, I love your advice. I was like, I'm not giving you advice. I'm telling you what other people have done. I'm showing you field reports. I'm suggesting courses of action based on things. I don't care if you do it or not. I will make the same ad revenue whether you do or you don't. And I don't need you to do it. But I'm like, you know what? Try it out. If you find out it works, believe me more. Don't buy it. And that's for a reason, right? Because I'm like, I'm guessing most people that grift nowadays, they didn't mean to grift when they start out. There's some people that are just stupid. They don't know the difference, but a lot of guys didn't. But then as they market more, they find that one works really well on a vocal minority of people, and so they kind of stick with what works. And then we justify it in our head later about how we're actually helping men. But in reality, just learning to be a more lucrative snake oil salesman. So I always make the effort to, like, not try to my best not to tell you to do anything. Other than hit that like, subscribe, and don't forget the super chats. Oh yeah, I gotta check chat, by the way, if I missed it. Dude, I've been missing a few. All right, my bad. We gotta take a quick break. Null, another $10 double heartfelt super chat. If I had one rule in my life, people who talk, they can't do. This is why they talk. Oh, I get the one. That's actually pretty good. I like that. I might wordsmith them up to make it a little more catchy, but I definitely like it. And then another €10 double heartfelt fuck you super chat. Bro, you have to do what I say. You are not a man. Oh, yeah, dude. Not a man. You're not a real man. Like, what's the difference between some feminist broad saying you're not a real man unless you do this, and some alpha male podcaster saying you're just a beta male if you do this? It's like no different. The terms are different. It's Coke and Pepsi. Or it's Diet Coke versus Coke Zero. That's a better reference. Because I don't know if you know the story with Coke Zero and Diet Coke. Diet Coke had the golden can, and everybody in the marketing at Coke was like, hey, Diet Coke is selling like hotcakes. That's great. But one problem, like, what's that? It's only chicks buying it. It's like, really? Well, how can we sell Diet Coke to men? I got an idea. Let's call it Coke Zero. Because Diet sounds like chick shit, but Zero sounds like it's a monster truck. Like, yeah, and let's make the can black, because guys love things that are black, like guns and truck tires and stuff. Like, yeah. And so they made black Zero Diet Coke. And guys were like, this is fucking awesome. Fuck these ladies with their Diet Coke. We're drinking Coke Zero. In fairness, it's like sucralose versus aspartame. But I mean, come on. Like, there was a joke we used to tell in the 90s, and I'll be back on point in a sec. There's a joke we used to tell in the 90s how, what's that Fred Durst band? Why am I drawing a blank? Hold on a sec. I forgot the new metal guy. New metal. Limp Bizkit. Everybody was like, yeah, Limp Bizkit is Britney Spears for dudes. And it made so much sense. Like, oh, yeah. And then the last one's Nuclear Juadio. With his $1.99 super chat. Being an incel is a very temporary state. I don't even like using the term incel. I hate it. Because it's... So here's the thing with identity. Oh, fuck, we're off topic. God damn it. All right, whatever. I'll go back to the thing. We're a little off topic. It's fine. I'll bring us back. I promise. And I never promise. Move some windows around here. So once you call yourself incel, you make yourself... It's an identity group. Remember I talk about narcissistic fantasies all the time? You know, you build an identity up in your head, you make it up, and then you force everybody else around you to adopt it. And that's your need for narcissistic fuel. And then if somebody disregards the narrative, that's what's called a narcissistic injury, which causes reaction from you, narcissistic rage. It's more than anger. A narcissistic rage is more... Like, getting zeroed out is essentially a narcissistic rage. Getting pissed off because your wife didn't fuck you that day is just anger. It's missing that social emotion. It's not... Because anger, the difference is there, it's a pain plus a intention. Like, my wife did this on purpose to fuck with me. narcissistic rage is more like they are attacking my core identity. And if you doubt what I'm talking about, just watch that whole politics left versus right shit where they're just yelling at each other and doxing each other. The kid's lighting himself on fire in front of the courthouse and shit. Like that stuff. That is narcissistic rage. So there's a difference. It's visceral. It's just a complete level of its own. But they, even though they look similar, they're from completely different places. Completely different places. So when I see incel, kind of reminds me of being in the military. You know, where if a guy commits a crime, oh, that guy's an asshole. But if a military member commits a crime, oh, the military's an asshole. And it's the same thing. As soon as you start calling yourself an incel, as soon as you start making your identity about not getting laid, like, where do you go with that? Well, you reinforce the identity. Oh, I'm just gonna... What do guys who don't get laid do? Well, they yell at women online, but not funny. You know, they just hate on them. Like, yeah, it sounds good. What do? They stalk women. That's what incels do. Like, oh, it sounds good. They acted like, remember that goofball Billy in here? Limp Bizkit noob. Yeah, I'm not too proud to admit that the Soundgarden fan of me was like, fuck your Limp Bizkit. I'd rather listen to Tool anyway. So yeah, when they call themselves incels, they decided to opt in. Or like, well, at least it's a community. It's a community. It's a community of guys who aren't social, which is fucking ridiculous. It's like when they try and put all those tigers, a solitary hunter, they try and put tigers all in a cage together, and it turns out there's like 5 tigers hunting around the edges, and then the one in the middle who's got all the bitches. And you're like, why is this tiger encampment just full of tiger fights? And you're like, that's why, because you put things together that shouldn't be together. Nuts and gum together at last. It's alright, I was an Avril fan anyway. Dude, Avril Lavigne. Yeah, that was like, you know what, let's do punk, but let's make it hot gothy chicks. I can deal with that. So back to the thing. Yeah, distrust this particular flavor. Let's go back to this. Told to get you to do something defensive about lies. That's the other one. I notice a lot of guys get very defensive, like even the red pill dudes, which is basically Pearl, Tate, and Myron, and Walter, I guess. The prostitute slayer. You got a woman of the streets, I'll make a good woman out of her. How are you going to do that? I'm going to throw a baby into her and then make her abort it. It's going to be great. Magical. What color is your Bugatti? Mine's pregnancy pink. Why are you so mean to him? I can't be any meaner to that guy than he is to his own life. Like, dude, he doesn't give a fuck. Why do I have to give a fuck? He doesn't even give a fuck. Condoms, the worst feeling in the world. And I think child support's worse, but I guess condoms are a close second. What can I say? Anyways, they get defensive about it. So you notice somebody's like, this is absolute bullshit. What's the response you get? I mean, a lot of people call me bullshit online, which, you know, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm sitting here in a pink Pro Bass Shops hat, a pink Levi's shirt, and a Marty McFly vest. Why would you take me seriously? I've gone out of my way not to be taken seriously. Like, Jesus Christ, man. But you call Ryan's just being bullshit. And I'm like, yeah. Like, do you think this is the best way to fit in? Like, no. This is me saying, like, I'll wear pink, fuck you. But you get a lot of guys, they get fucking mad when you think, like, this is kind of weird, it's kind of stupid, and they're like, fuck you, man. And they justify it, they'll call it, like, again, the Trudeau thing. As soon as somebody disagrees with his idea of, you know, it'd be great, a big tax on everything ever made to pay for all the stuff that I forgot that costs money. And everybody's like, that's a horrible idea. Why don't we just not fund Drag Queen Story Hour for $1 billion? And it's like, well, you're an evil, racist, white nationalist. You get that? They get very defensive when you call them out on his lies. It's just, again, that's an easy way to tell. How do they react to somebody suspicious of their intentions? Liars hate the burden of evidence, and they want to shift it. Absolutely. And that's another thing, too. Like, so there's like 2 types of conversation. There's the open and the closed. Closed conversation, status games, hierarchy. That's where you watch a lot of guys, like, having pissing contests on Twitter, which is ridiculous. But sometimes it's really like I follow a health guy, and he's going off right now about vitamin A, like an overemphasis of vitamin A in our diets causing issues, like fat-soluble vitamin A affects your liver, less like that. And I'm curious, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I have never heard about this one. Tell me more. He actually loves to throw out this information. Here's some stuff here. Here's some stuff here. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat. So I go and I look into it. Does it turn out vitamin A is actually dangerous in high amounts? I don't know, but I will. And the fact that he was willing to let me figure it out for myself, huge. Like, all right, even if he's wrong, at least I know he's not lying. Another one, liars don't like competition, which, dude, I used to say I hated grifters. But then I noticed every grifter started saying they hated grifters. I'm here to call out the grifters. And I'm just like, fuck. Everybody was calling themselves a coach. And I was like, I hate being a coach. If I had to call myself anything, I would just say it's like a consultant. And then all of a sudden, Pat Stedman started calling himself a fucking consultant. And I'm like, fuck you guys. They don't like competition. Every time I would come up with something that would make sense and be thoughtful and, you know, get you to think, and everybody's like, I'll just take that and wrap my shit around it. I'm like, fuck you guys. But yeah, they don't like competition. It's always about infighting. It's always about yelling at, like that little Spurgio kid. I don't know if you know who I'm talking about, but there's like oh, I want to see Ryan. Oh, we got Ryan at home. And he's like Ryan at home, that guy. And he just sits there and he's just like, any attention is good attention. He's like, reminds me of those, I don't know if this is going to be a racist reference or not. I don't think so. But you ever go to like a store and you see like an old school Mexican kid, you know, flopping his arms around, being a complete nuisance, and then his mom just fucking whacks him upside the head with a chancla? Like, that kid is like, he's like that kid. And there's like, most brands are like the kid. And I like to think of you and me as the online chanclas. You know what I mean? The online chanclas. Profitable things justify investment. Ooh. So this one, it's kind of interesting. I would want to expand on it more, but it's a little off topic, so I'll just kind of briefly go over it. The idea of if somebody is spending a lot of money to put something in front of you, they expect a return on their investment. It's a little more sophisticated. Like, I don't want to use this reference, but it's so good. Can I say this now on YouTube? Can I talk about the vid? The Chinese flu of whatever? Swine? What was the stupid... The Osaka flu. I'll call it the Osaka flu, just in case. When everybody was catching that, and then the videos were full of misinformation stuff and how great vaccinations were and all this shit, they changed the definition. They spent a lot of money making sure that, like, 18 people died today of this influenza in Osaka. And you're like, what the hell? That's horrible. That's bad. I don't know 18 people that died, but that's bad. Not thinking that, how many people died from falling in the bathtub today? Oh, about 17. Okay, so it's marginally more dangerous than the bathtub. Oh, yes, but we didn't tell you about the bathtub stats. I'm like, you sons of bitches. I actually looked that up once, too. Like, I wonder, like, where does it rank among all the other types of death? And I looked at it, and originally I was like, oh, wow, that's pretty high. I think it was like number 11 in the top 10 ways that people died. And then I looked into it more, and I'm like, wait a minute. Like, flu deaths dropped off to 0. Bronchitis, all the respiratory infections, Canada actually has like a site where we track this stuff. Like how many deaths from the influenza, COVID, all this stuff. And they were noticing, like, yeah, in the last 3 months, they would have like weekly updates with COVID. They were like, just so you know, there has been 0 fatalities from the flu during the flu season, which is unheard of. Which told me that, you know, COVID was either misdiagnosed or they were just stealing. They were stealing it from stealing from the other team. So even though it was like, oh, that's like, it's 11th. It's not high, but it's high. And then you realize, oh, that's all respiratory infections. When you realize it just replaced the flu. And I'm like, oh, okay, so why are people spending $1 billion to convince me this is the harbinger of the apocalypse? And they wanted to justify investment. It's absolutely crazy. A lot of people made a lot of money off of that. And right now everybody's like, sorry about losing like 8 or 9 celebrities there from all those shots, but it's at the point now where it's almost like a meme. Like, oh my god, somebody shot by the cops wielding a samurai sword. Was he vaccinated? His next ones, people tend to believe what they want the truth to be, but the universe is perverse. Oh yeah, be suspicious if a story contains no bad news. Since when did the universe become so friendly to our desires? I like this one. This actually inspired. So in the book Dread, Praxeology Volume 2 in Amazon today, paperback, and Kindle. Ad read. I talk about the outcomes, right? And everybody thought that the idea of dread, and everybody who's ever written like a marriage guide, lack of a better word, it always ends up with like, you'll win your wife back and your heartfelt blah blah blahs. And I was just like, that's bullshit. That's bullshit, because I've seen it. It's not a majority, But there is definitely a large enough chunk that there is a distinct possibility. And I think Wine More Please, he's in chat right now. He used to say this too. Where, what was the fucking thing that he said? One sec, I got the super chats here too. I'm trying to do multiple things at once. Oh, there we go. I see you, Null. I'll get to you. Yeah, most guys just suck. And it's like, maybe your wife has seen so much of your bullshit over the years that by the time you start doing anything about it, it's too late. Totally possible. So I talked about the outcomes of dread, right? And, there's the one where your wife steps up, starts fucking you, doing the dishes, and you guys are a happy couple and you move on. But there's like 4 other situations. And 2 of them involve the wife and you separating. You dump her, she dumps you, whatever. So it's one of those things, like, you can know something is more true and less snake oily if there's a potential for failure. Because, dude, I don't know if you're anything like me, but if you've been in the military for any length of time, you have seen people fail the unfailable. Walk from here to here without falling on your face. Somebody will fall on their face in spectacular fashion. It's just the way things work. There is not a human alive who hasn't outfooled the foolproof device. Null, 10 € super chat. I am an incel. I am going to get a beer. Have fun. Well, that's the problem. Beer is estrogenic, and that's why you fail. You should be. I'm an Alcoholics Anonymous guy. You should stop drinking too. Holy jeez, Nonstop Dre 360. You know what? I like Nonstop Dre 360, but I want to upgrade to the Nonstop Dre 1. I think it's much more powerful. It's got a sleeker figure to it. It's just got a better catalog behind it. But I mean, for now, I guess the Nonstop Dre 360. But you're the couch saving the West from tradcons. Speaking of people that don't exist, the fucking tradcons. They are the most terminally online, ridiculous group I have ever seen. First off, their arch nemesis is red pill dudes. That's how much I know you're a piece of shit. It's like, bro, really? Really? You're going to pick the smallest of small niches? Nobody's ever heard of us. Who's the most popular guy who's ever mentioned the term red pill? Probably Andrew Tate. Nobody I've ever met outside in real life knows who the fuck Andrew Tate is. Nobody knows who we are. And so when they pick us as the arch nemesis, like, I don't know. It's like when dad beats mom, so mom beats the kids, and then the kid beats the dog. It's like, really, the dog? That's your arch nemesis? Maybe you start fighting back against mom and she'll start fighting dad. I don't know. Whatever. Pringles can with veins. $5. One. Dude, you're going to spam these career-ending heartfelts. I always read, whenever I see $5, I read the super chat before I read it out, just in case they ask me to clarify the cuck article or something. Like, the last thing I want to do is have to shill, like, boner pills or whatever he does now. I don't know what Tate's or what Murphy's doing now. I hope he's landing on his feet. I would hate for him to be homeless and not earn a living. But I mean, Napa Auto Parts is always hiring, and Pro Bass Shops could use another guy at the ammo store, so fuck it, whatever. The thing that is the most difficult is reading the BS and not going into a full "the frogs are gay" rant to the normies. It's deceptively easy, barely an inconvenience. Because here's the thing. Like, yeah, I'm sitting here saying don't be trustworthy or don't trust things, be skeptical and whatever. And who says that? Usually crazy guys talking about the fucking moon landing and alien attacks and all that shit too. And like, oh, Joe Rogan just had this guy on and he's like, there was a civilization in the snow. Look, here's how you can tell, like, sometimes it's okay just not to know. That's when I say no, I feel guilty. Manuel Smith's assertive Bill of Rights. You're allowed to say, I don't know. And these people that do certainty is because they hate not knowing things. And so they make up shit that sounds good. But you'll see, for example, the frogs are gay. It's actually a thing. It's not that the frogs are gay. It's just that there was pollutants in the water that some company was dumping in there. And the frogs, it was fucking with their endocrine system. And frogs have, like, frogs, like from Jurassic Park, they have that ability to change their gender. If they're in an all-male environment, a couple of them will grow vaginas, helps them keep going. Oh, all these chemicals are fucking with that ability for thing. And so all of a sudden frogs are acting one way, but not developing the parts of the other way. And it was very weird. So you could say you're making the frogs gay. But there's like a real thing behind it. The problem is, though, now you've made it such a hyperbolic thing. But that's not even the real point. The real point is where you'll see it. It's like, because of phenomenon A causes phenomenon B, Then, conclusion Z. You're like, whoa, 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 whoa. And you can always tell it's right there when they make you take that leap. So aliens, you're like, whoa, slow down. And this is kind of where you're like, look, this and this don't add up, and I don't know why. That's a much more defensible position. Even with like the COVID stuff, you could say this. Even with your wife, it's like, look, you keep telling me to do more dishes, you'd be more comfortable, we'd fuck more. I know that's not true. I don't know what your motivation is. And this is another thing. Guys do this too, right? Where, well, it's because feminism did her brain in this and they do this. It's the same thing as the frogs are gay. The wife is feminist. The wife is feminist. I can't do an Alex Jones impression, so it's what I get. And it's always they take that justified leap because they want to be able to understand and have like a great narrative. Sometimes you're allowed to say, I don't know why. You say I do this thing. It doesn't have the outcome you suggested. I don't know what your motivations are. I just know that if I do this, I'm not going to get there. Doing the dishes makes no difference on our sex life. And that's kind of like where you see the praxeology in place, right? So then what do you do in this situation? Well, do you want to do the dishes? I like having a clean house. Oh, how clean do you like it? I like it this level of clean. And how often do you do this? I like doing it now. I like doing it tomorrow. I like doing it in the morning. I like doing it after work. Whatever. Okay, fine. Do it to your standard and on your timeline. But my wife's not going to fuck me on that. She's not going to fuck you now. But at least now you're not supplicating to a girl who doesn't even give you any. At least now you're living life like just that little bit of selfishness. And yeah, we're just talking about the dishes. It's an example. But there's like 500 different things in your life you can do that are like this. You do the dishes to your standard, to your expectations. You putter around the house and fix things or clean it to your standards and on your expectations and your timeline. And then you start to notice, like when you handle all of these little things, the big things kind of sort themselves out. You go to the gym when you want to go to the gym. You know how to take care of your kids. You know how to handle your career stuff. And you have an hour of your day that you want to go spending at the gym to work on something that only benefits you. Only benefits you. They can't call you. They can't ask you for shit. They can't tell you anything because you're busy keeping that iron bar off of your fucking forehead. And you take all these 500 little examples of you starting to act in your own best interest, for you to admit when you don't know things, and at least draw conclusions from what you can. I'm just going to do things the way I want them done, because you telling me to do them your way with a vague promise of something that never happens doesn't work. And then you start to see things. Like sometimes subconsciously it's the girl that's been trying to manipulate. So I would love if he put me in my place and just said no. And they're like, oh, he said no, I'm going to suck his dick. And you're like, yeah, everything's great. More often than not, though, it's just, I can't manipulate him. Well, I'm going to try manipulating him harder. Well, I still can't manipulate him. And then finally they're like, all right, maybe I'll just talk to him like a fucking human being. Hi, I would like this from you, and I don't know how to get you to do it. And you're just like, well, if I'm happy, I'm more than happy to be generous with my time and attention. And then the girl's like, oh, so fucking him kind of gets there, huh? But he never asked. Doesn't have to ask. You know. Women know. Hey, men like to fuck. If I fuck them, they're happy. There's no woman on earth that's so stupid. I don't care how many of them want to be like, I'd rather live with a bear. Even they know this. They fucking know. They're just pretending they don't know. Women are selectively stupid that way. They're stupid when they can be, and they're not stupid when they have to be. I get it. It's pretty fucking clever. The cleverest thing is like selective stupidity. What do you mean? Exactly. Null, another 10 euro super chat. Ryan, heartfelt, I like my beer. All right, what kind of beer is it, Null? You've been talking about not fucking having beer for like 3 super chats now. At this point, it better be like, judging by the outfit, if I don't hear Pabst Blue Ribbon, I'm going to be very disappointed. Very disappointed. I'll settle for a Labatt. And then Rusty Fuel, $4.99 super chat. Chore play. Get the wet kiss first, then do the dishes. Any used car salesman knows this. Won't hand you the keys until he gets paid. I mean, that's a different topic, but you're right. And that's something as a guy you have to learn. And that's actually old school, like Briffault's Law. The corollary to Briffault's Law. You remember Briffault's Law? Where it's, if there's no benefit to a woman, there's no relationship, and the woman gets to decide the relationship. The corollary to it was any promise for like future benefit is null and void as soon as the girl gets what she wants. So yeah, always get paid up front. Well, that's the thing. You're not going to let people lord over the domestic duties of the house over you in order to get the one thing you want. No, I'm living my life the way I want it to live. And you know what? It kind of sets an example too, right? Where if your wife's not fucking you, she's not taking care of the kids, she gained weight, she's kind of lazy. Meanwhile, you are living to a certain expectation and standard you hold for yourself. Eventually, one or preferably both of you come to the conclusion that, well, if the wife's not living up to your expectation and standard, and if things in your house aren't living up to your expectation and standard, they tend not to be in your house. It's kind of where you have to ask the question, do I want this bitch in my life? And she has to ask the question, do I want to fight to keep this man in my life? It's one of those crazy things where you really find out, like, are you really a good man? Well, we'll find out soon enough. Is a woman willing to fight? Is a woman willing to cut calories in order just to be with you? Well, if she'd rather get divorced and take her chances out there, then maybe you're not as far along as you think you are, just saying. Or maybe it's just that you've been at like bullshit for so long, she's like, whatever, I don't trust this, which is fine too. Or maybe she just got a new dick. She'd rather go live with the bears. Give her. I guess this is kind of like the feminist did everything thing. We'll make that the 45-minute mark. Fuck it. Anyways, back to that. People tend to believe, liars love language. And I want to say he took that from practical female psychology. They call it the hypnotic power of language. And this is one of those manipulative things. I call it a frame shift. Women love to talk. The more they talk, the easier it is to convince you to do something. Because guys get bewildered when somebody starts fast talking you. That's why Myron talks so fast. That's why, what's the fucking name? Tim Pool keeps rambling and interrupting and talking fast. That's why everybody does that online. That's why Destiny does that. The idea that, like, if you just hypnotize somebody by using too many words, they can't keep up, and then you eventually slip some points in, you get to do cheerleading, and you're like, fuck, whatever. And that's the thing. So when they're lying to you, if they're trying to over-talk, they're trying to ramble and baffle you with bullshit, then yeah. Then his last two, they're actually pretty funny. Liars rely on reverence. Oh my god. Irreverence is a superpower, fellas. It's a superpower. That's why Rollo, every time they call him the godfather of the manosphere, he laughs. He's like, that's fucking ridiculous. I didn't name myself that name. People who wanted to shit on me gave me that name. They called him the godfather of the red pill just so they could be like, he thinks he's fucking Corleone. Like, whatever. He just went with it. Like, yeah, godfather of the red pill. Yeah, reverence. Oh, I'm the alphast male. Look at my Bugatti. It's always like about reverence. Oh, you got to treat this thing as valuable. Oh, the West. Save the West. The West has such reverence to it. It's like, dude, have you been in the West? Didn't I just tell you like an hour ago they were giving people like uranium to drink? Dude, drink this radiation drink. You're like, sounds good. Thank you, West. West doesn't give a fuck about you. The West has no irreverence. The only thing the West did that's better than the rest is we industrialized really quick, really fast, and we went all in. Meanwhile, China's like, we don't need that. We got rice paper. We're fine. And then all of a sudden they're like, all right, we need that. We're going to start stealing it from you. So yeah, as soon as somebody asks for you to take them seriously, right there, you're like, I'll be the, again, it's doing the dishes. You just did these dishes. I'd be more comfortable. We'd fuck more. If you would just treat me with more reverence, then you would understand the truth and your life would be better. It's like, I'll decide what I treat with reverence. Thank you very much. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't fall for it myself. I had, 12, 13 years in the military. Reverence for Queen and Country? Oh, that got me. Oh. Yeah. Anyways.
Seething.
I had to live for that one. And then compound assertions. Yeah, I'm going to skip past that. It's important, but whatever. So yeah, feminists didn't do everything. Snake oil, radioactive drinks, Radithor. Everybody lies to you. And a part of it is just like learning how to learn. And I find a lot of these assertive things too, right? And it really just, and this is where I get that thing where it boils down to the question, like, what do you want? Because it's funny. You cannot manipulate an honest man. If you're honest about what you want, if you're upfront about your expectations, I'm not saying you'll get them, but I am saying that people that try to manipulate you out of them have a much harder time. If I know what I want from a wife, I want to have a good sex life. I want my wife to suck less. And then she gives you all these hurdles to jump through. It's like, if you do all this stuff, I'll start sucking less. You're like, no, it won't. How about this? You start sucking less, or I will find somebody else who doesn't. Well, sucks more. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean. Oh, look at that. Mish in the chat. Mish, back from his hiatus. Digging the pink. I'm glad, sir. I'm glad we went full pink trucker. On a complete side note, it's entertaining as shit to watch my 2 teenage daughters doing what women do to men with their mom. It's petty, and it's funny to see women getting frustrated with girls. Oh, dude. I have like 3 sisters, and watching them act like women and watching the women hate women acting like women, it's one of the joys. It's been one of the joys of my life. Like, yeah, I remember when they used to do that to me. That's funny. I hate when she does that. Null, another 10 euro super chat. Kolsch only, Coln, only in Coln. I actually know Kolsch. That's like a... So I don't know if you guys know this beer. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right either. But it's like, I want to see if I'm looking at the right one. I want to say it's German or Czechoslovakian. I think it was Czech... Oh, it is German. Oh, it's a type of beer. Okay, so at least in Canada, there's a brand. It's got like a gold label. It's called Kolsch. And it has... Yeah, like there it is. It looks like a Polish flag kind of thing. And it just, there's like a smokiness to it, or like a skunkiness to it. So it's always been like the shitty beer that your uncle used to drink. You're like, and he's like, yeah, try beer, son, you'll be a man. You're like, I'm never drinking beer again. And you just realized it was cheap beer. But I'm assuming if you live in Europe with the euros, that your version of a Kolsch is probably a lot better than what we make here. Nonstop Dre 36, would you please upgrade yourself to Nonstop Dre 1? You're a smart guy, Couch. You got the alpha genes. Well, thank you very much, sir. They're actually Levi's 501. I went with the classics. It's been a while. And dark denim again. I was trying the lighter colors, but it just feels too much like a Rush fan, you know? And then FYI Bob with his $5 fucking heartfelt soup. God damn you guys with this heartfelt shit. Does this start with a fuck you? Or?
So the meme, they're very good. This is really, they've taken...
Yeah. Hey Ryan, do you want to know what is worse than a tradcon? A tradcon women like, that famous one from Canada. Who is the famous tradcon from Canada? Are you talking about Peterson? Are you talking about Trudeau? No, he's a good feminist, and he's divorced. Dude, oh my god. So the funniest shit ever, it's been kind of like an open secret that his wife didn't like him. And then the divorce happened, and we're like, dude, how bad is that your wife was even like, this will fuck your political career. Fuck it, I don't like you. Does that. He takes his kid on a big road trip, goes down to like India to do some like provincial... Let's smooth over this unchecked immigration thing. I guess he goes on like a multi-day coke bender with like prostitutes and picking up chicks, just living the divorced dad life on the Canadian taxpayer's dime. And the Indian prime minister was so pissed. It's like, dude, we're over here to work. I had to clear a week out of my schedule, and you just come in here fucking hose out. Like, fuck you, man. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of like Indian terrorists were murdering people. I think they assassinated like a Sikh leader. And this was all around the time that they invited a Nazi into parliament. And it was like, oh my God, what is wrong with this guy? But the news didn't want to talk about that stuff. It's like, bro. Then again, maybe that does make him pretty, because Jack Murphy was a traditional conservative. A traditional conservative. I'll pass my wife around on the Tinder schedule, but I'll make sure the guy treats her nice and does the dishes. Dan, I used to think there were limitations to learning and improving. If you commit and really put in the time, you can better yourself. You may not be a master, but you won't be a novice. You don't need to be a master. That's the thing, though. Like, you guys know that they call it the right-wing talking point, but the competency crisis? It's huge. People are fucking everything up. People, like, don't know how to fly planes anymore. They're flying planes. They forgot to attach the door. The thing's falling off. You ever tried talking to customer service or getting like, oh my God, what the hell? People don't even know how to speak English, and they're native English speakers. Like, how do you forget the language? You've been speaking it your whole life. Has Trudeau still got the Canadian news in his pocket? Sort of. Like, you can tell they're turning on him, but I think it's because right now they're sucking up because they know Poilievre's going to win, and one of his first mandates was to defund CBC, so I think it's just self-interest. They still want him, but they're like, yeah, but I got to hedge my bets. Alpha AK, $5, 1 cent super chat. Finally a good super chat. $5, 1 cent. Trudeau got divorced, and his wife took half of Canada. Oh, dude, she's a crazy chick, too. She's a Quebec chick. And anybody here who's ever dated a girl from Quebec, they're like, they're not right, man. They're very, very attractive women, very sexual. They still smoke, which is fucking weird. You know, if she smokes, she pokes. But, like, they hate condoms. and they're very violent. It's like this weird mix of like Canadian plus Catholic plus French. I don't know how to explain it. They're not even Catholic anymore though. They had like the big thing in the 60s. Anyways, yeah. She gets half of Canada. She's probably the only one out of the two that's welcome in Alberta. I'll say that much right. Limitations to correct. Yeah, the correction. Everybody's like the 10,000 hours. You have to be the best at. You don't have to be the best at shit, man. I am not the best podcaster by far. I watched these guys laughing about fucking nerdy Reddit shit with like hundreds of thousands of views. I watched Tim Pool ragging about the goddamn Democrats every week. He's no talent either, and he just fucking crushes it. They're like pretending to be angry about something, and they give you like a stern talking into the camera, and I'm like, this is the worst acting. This is the Netflix adaptation of Tim Pool's own fucking show. They're pulling out great. I'm not good by contrast to that at all. And this is, dude, it's a comfortable life. It's like, holy shit, you don't have to be the best at it. You have to be good enough. I think Carl used to say, as long as you're a 7 across the board, you're fine. Yeah, learn something to a 7. And turns out that stupid 10,000 hour rule, that was for like guys who wanted to become the grand, like Bobby Fischer, the Bobby Fischers of chess, the Usain Bolt of running. Those guys need 10,000 hours to get to the top percent of the top percent of the top percent. It turns out, if you take any skill activity on a scale from 0, not knowing it at all, to 100, being the absolute perfect master, with 10,000 hours to get there, I think they call it logarithmic. But the point is, to get 70 to 80% of the way there, 230 hours of proper study. So for you guys, probably 500. But that's the point, 500 hours. That's an hour a day for a year. That's 2 hours a day for half a year. That's 3 hours a day for like a quarter. It's not much time. And that'll get you better than 80% of the people there. I, just from that number alone, am better. Actually, this is true. And here's the example. I am not a good author. I don't think so. You guys may like the books. I know where my limitations are. I know the things I need to work on. That's fine. Penguin House had an antitrust lawsuit by the DOJ because they were trying to buy, I think it was Random House or something like that. And they had to release all of their numbers. And it turns out like 90% of books will sell less than a dozen copies. And there's a whole bunch of other shit there. You know what? I'm kind of going off topic, so I'll bring it back to the point. The point is, I am in the top 10% of authors in the world right now. That's how low the bar is. A guy had a story about, I put out a book. There's 3 books. Here's some bullshit I did as a sailor, and here's the lessons I learned from it, so you can too. Here's how you don't let people treat you like a bitch. And here's how you don't let your wife treat you like a bitch. 3 of like some of the best. And yeah, if you look on the Amazon thing, it's like, I think they're like in the 50,000s or something like that. So even there. But that's the thing. Most books are like in the millions. There's millions of books out there. And the fact that I'm in the top 50,000, it's crazy. And the point of this isn't to brag. The point is to show you how attainable your things are. Wine more, please. As far as I know, I think he still does. He's like, one day he decides, I'm going to learn to fly planes. Pretty good flying planes now. Has not lost the door on his Cessna once. Not once. You know how he did that? Locking the door and learning his way through it. Fucking how great is that? And I think a lot of people they underestimate what they're capable of. And it's hard because everybody gives the platitudes about everybody overestimates what they can accomplish in a day and underestimates what they accomplish in a year. And the problem is it's right, but when you hear it as a platitude, you just don't do anything with it. So it's almost like, whatever. Nonstop Dre 360, $2 super chat. Couch is the Lav Couch that inspired Tony Robbins. Fucking Tony. Don't even get me started on that guy. Boomer Gary V. Bullshit. Look at that. Salt Daddy, stripper, everybody in here. Why More Please is a real life Tom Cruise. It's not that he's a Tom Cruise. We've talked about this stuff. He and I both kind of had a similar like outlook on this stuff. It's that at one point you look around and you realize I am fucking up a lot of stuff. And the reasons I'm fucking up are totally stupid. And you have to decide to do some like really hard internal work. And that's it. The work isn't like the work. When they say do the work, it's not about lifting more weights and doing this stuff. That's external stuff. And yeah, that's easy compared to the internal work of realizing I'm fucking up, it's my own fault, and I can fix it if I just stop doing these things that I hold to be true. Like, I'll tell you a grade 2 story, which is it's the best way I can kind of articulate this. Or not grade 2. It's just like me in school. Anyways, so there wasn't many colored people where I grew up. There was me, and then there was this one black family. My family, and there's one black family. And he always went off about racism, this thing. And that was always the thing for me. If something never went my way and I couldn't figure out why, there was always that thing in the back of your mind. Was that a racist thing? Was that racism? And you never know. Like, you'll never know. Nobody will outwardly say it. And you never know if it's happening or not. And then I kind of realized, like, it's very easy. If you wanted to, I could blame anything that doesn't go my way on racism if I really wanted to. One day I decided, it's like, I can't. It just makes you paranoid. It's like putting a GPS tracker in your wife's car. You know, this way, if she's cheating on me, I'll know because I'll see it pull up to some house. And then you'll check the thing, and it's at the grocery store, and you're like, wait a minute. If she parked the car at the grocery store knowing I was tracking her, and then took her boyfriend's car from there to fuck her, and then you realize you're just in this spiral where you believe everything is against you. And look, sometimes things are against you. Sometimes somebody does not like you for some reason that's out of your control and there's nothing you can do about it. But I can guarantee you, that is such a minuscule amount of interactions you're going to have in a day. You're causing yourself more damage than not. And to get that in, like, everybody has a version of that. Is it a racist thing? Is it a feminism is doing this thing? Is it the goddamn Democrats that are doing it to me? Is it the fucking liberal? Like, you know what I mean? Everybody's got some boogeyman that they can use to blame for anything that they don't fully understand the motivations behind. The problem is, most of the universe is uncaring. Nobody gives a shit about you. Nobody's being racist towards you because they just don't know you exist. They don't even know you. They don't care. The feminists aren't trying to hold you down. Feminists don't know who the fuck you are. I've been ranting for 5 years here. Not one feminist has ranted about me on her fucking YouTube channel. Nobody cares. Yeah, so the biggest internal work you got to realize is, like, the only thing you have in common with all your failures is you. And I don't mean that in a platitude, mate. I mean in that, like, I have to unlearn the things that I think I know because they're causing me to do stupid things that fuck up my life. And it's uncomfortable, and your ego fights you every step of the way. It's like, dude, no, we're still living. We're doing fine. You don't want to waste all this brain power. And you're like, no, I think I do. Null, 10-year... Oh, wait, let me get this in order. I'll do some super chats now. Saxon Smith, $5. You know what, Saxon? The 1 cent. I like guys like you. I like guys who get it. Unlike those $5 assholes. Anyways, first, SC, your channel, and what's SC mean? Oh, first super chat, your channel. Thank you very much, sir. And work helped me so much, resonates hard with me. Some of your live streams hit on issues I was dealing with all the time. It's almost uncanny. I'd like to think it is, but it's not. Here's the thing. Most people are, like, remarkably similar. Remarkably similar. It's one thing I kind of learned when I was in the military. We literally circumnavigated the earth. I got to visit maybe 24 countries in my life for sometimes extended periods of time, sometimes for short periods of time. And the one lesson that I kind of took away from it all is that people are generally the same. Like, dealing with chicks in South Korea was no different than dealing with chicks on Vancouver Island, with the exception of the States. States, I don't know, there's something different about the States, but even then, it's within a range. You guys are just at the extreme end of the range. But yeah, and same thing here. Like, when I mention a story or a field report, I just know that, like, 5,000 people watch that episode. And at least 100 people are going to be like, dude, this is happening to me right now. And they'll say it. And it's not because I'm smart. It's not because I'm gifted. It's just because we're all similar. Yeah, it's uncanny. That's the thing. And that's, again, it makes me realize, like, most guys are having the exact same life with some variations of. And so our problems are similar. And luckily, our solutions are similar. And even luckier still, all the things we can do to fuck it up are so similar. So it's almost like as soon as we can articulate the human experience, which is a much smaller breadth of work than we thought, we could pretty much sort out how not to be. And this is where it gets back to that question I asked like an hour ago that the purple pill and blue pilled and the chicks always love to ask. Well, if everybody becomes red pill, doesn't then the whole bar change and everything changes and, you know, things adapts? Like, not everybody's going to. I could write down an entire year 1 to year 100 of a person's life with uncanny issues you were dealing with. And most people still won't give a fuck. And they're like, no, I got this. And they'll go fuck it up. So, yeah. Null, 10 euros super chat. I have put the 10,000 hour. There is no one to match me because people are lazy. Give me money. Some Lex Friedman vibes on that super chat, sir. Well done. Well done. You gave me a chuckle. Saxon Smith, again, $5, 1 cent. Dude, the 1 cent. I appreciate those. I really do. Give that one a like. I didn't write field reports per se, but reread messages to ex-friends after a breakup and the ex that zeroed me out, thinking, what is the cringe? Thank you so much, Ryan. Oh, yeah. A lot of guys do that too, where you look back on decisions you made before that made perfect sense at the time, and you're like, who the fuck is this retard? That's not me. That's my favorite part of this, by the way. When you look, because like your changes will be gradual. They're always gradual. And you don't notice there's a difference between you today and you yesteryear. I'm like, oh, go back. Go read through your shit from like 2 years ago when you first started your red pill journey or your male action plan or whatever. And then you read it, you're like, who the fuck is that guy? And when you have that separation between the way you used to behave and the way you currently behave, you realize like, holy shit, I actually have made substantial changes, gotten some substantial success in specific areas that I'm actually trying to succeed in. And I thought I was just me, like, just be yourself. It's like, no, that guy is not yourself. That guy is a piece of shit. This yourself that gets shit done and gets laid, I like this guy. He's all right. Oh, please read them together. Yeah, I get him as two. Yeah, I understand that they're both together. Don't worry. We're smart. We caught on to it, Sax. Pringles. Hey, speaking of like piece of shit, $5 super chat from Pringles Can with I'm not. You know what? Pringles. I'm calling you Pringles. I'm tired of talking about your veiny cock on the goddamn live streams. A nurse from Montreal that made me hold her hair to throw up. I then bought a Plan B, brushed her teeth, and told me to paint the walls. I miss Carl. Yeah. That's actually one of those things I was talking about. It's like, it's twice I've referenced on Twitter now, but whatever. Billy Pratt, another author. I like the guy. He likes posting Reddit stories of retards and laughing at them, which I'm like, it's great grift. It's great for Elon bucks. And the one was like, some chick pissed in her, like she went and stayed the night at a guy's place, pissed in his bed, and she was worried about, what am I going to do about this? I fucking pissed myself in front of him. And I thought about it, and I'm like, I know at least 2 couples that are still together after one of them pissed the bed on their first date. One was a guy, one was a girl. And it usually is because they're too drunk, they just kind of piss themselves or whatever. And I laughed about that. I'm like, dude, like the hold her hair, make her throw up. It's really harsh shit like that. If you can get past that and realize like, oh, girls poop too. Yeah, this girl threw up all over things and I had to hold her hair and give her a Plan B in the morning. I don't know. I just think those are much. How'd you meet mom? You're like, well, we were in Mexico. She punched my sister in the face and then threw up all over the floor to the point where hotel security confined us to the room at the end of the night. Nick. How do I know Nick just entered chat? The fuck is this? The second coming of Truck Nuts? I finally got to go see Pro Bass Shop. I've never been to one before in my life, and we found one out in the middle of fucking nowhere last weekend. And then I saw this hat. I was like, I could order the neon orange duck hunter camouflage, but I'm like, no, Barbie fucking pink. Yeah. What about Matt Walsh? Dude, fuck Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh, like, between the nerdiness of it, between the hipster of it, between the complete naivete of, like, that hardcore Catholic, I married my high school sweetheart type, and he reads anything on the teleprompter. He is, what's the fucking Anchorman's name? What's the Will Ferrell character from Anchorman? I can't remember it now. Anyways, he's that guy. He will read whatever you put on the teleprompter. And in fairness, if he's earning anything near what Jordan Peterson is earning on the Daily Wire with like $2 million paycheck a year, $2 million a year, I'd tell you fucking whatever. I would sit here horribly reacting to Dylan Mulvaney TikToks, putting my pen in my hand and ranting about Ryan Stone and my fuck trophies for clout if they're paying me $2 million a year. I'm not too proud to say. I will sell out in a heartbeat. Do that for a year, then go retire somewhere. Like, fucking later, boys. Open up a Pro Bass Shops and call Ron Burgundy, thank you very much. Yeah, also just click on the money and add 1 cent to it. Saxon, see, you know what I mean? Like this is a what they call a metaphor. Saxon here. Are you willing to put in that effort? That little bit of effort. He's like, you know what? You do this, you click once, it puts an extra penny on it, and I'm not heartfelt, fuck you. Like, good for you, man. Good for you. Everybody else is like, just click it and send. I don't give a fuck. And that's when you know they're not going to make it. Especially you veiny Pringles can motherfucker. So that's kind of... Dude, my timestamps are fucked right now. They really are. So, like, even if that is true, what are you going to do about it? That's kind of where I was getting with this thing. Like, even if all of this scaremongering snake oil shit is true, what are you going to do about it? Oh, the feminists are coming for your guns. Okay, so what are you going to do about it? Oh, the 30% of men are celibate now. All right, what are you going to do about it? Oh my God, the goddamn... Oh, what are you going to do about it? And nobody ever has an answer. And if they do have an answer, it's always to, hey, buy my shit. Dude, buy my... Don't let those goddamn Democrats get away with it course. $59.95. And you read it, the first page is like, so the trick to sneaking into the Capitol is you got to film yourself. And you're like, this is the horrible course. I already know a guy who followed it. He's in jail right now. He and Cake Tits are going to have a wonderful jail family together. I unironically love Bass Pro Shops so much. Dude, I'm actually kind of a fan, Nick. I'm not going to lie. Like, they had a little arcade game in the back, too, where it was like a laser gun. And you're just, like, hunting and you have to hit the little targets. And which is great, because I love those games, because I pull out my old military training. It's like, how do you stand in position? Get your things. Like I was doing a rifle qual test. I'm actually pretty good. I'm actually not a bad shot. I'm not the greatest shot, but considering how much practice I've been on the last 5 years, way better shot than I should be. Way better. Yeah, it's like Nuke is saying here. What's your plan? Oh, Pringles is up there. I don't know how to add 1 cent. Sorry, Couch. Don't worry, you're $2. It's only at $5 it matters. It's only at $5. Yeah, that part was nice. The salmon swimming in the pond was kind of cool. Part of me kind of wants to get a compound bow again, and they had them for sale there. And I'm like, dude, I haven't had one of those since I was a kid. That'd be so much fun to fuck around with. But I'm like, I'm in the city. Everybody's going to freak out when they watch me walking. It's like, is this like First Blood? Like, no, it's not. I'm just fucking around with the bow. Having said that, that fucking idiot that's been outside my place at like 3 a.m. is like, now's the best time to rev up my motorbike now that I've gotten rid of my exhaust manifold and wake everybody up. I would love to just like, you know, one of them Hawkeye things. No, €10 super chat. I will give you $1 million. Tell me that I'm a good man, please. Dude, I'll tell you you're a good man for $10. Null, you are an alpha male. Everybody loves you. You're on the Sigma grind set. What color is your Bugatti? I don't know, but it's nicer color than mine. And I can't think of what else to say. Oh, and Jesus loves. Jesus saves. A headband and a cut-off sleeve shirt. You could do a pretty good Rambo. Yeah. I could freak out when somebody's trying to shave me, too. Anyways, we're at the 90-minute mark. I think I've hit all the points. Yeah, you know what? Of all the material in the Red Pill, why focus on the hose? I'm like, There was like a whole thing on there where it was going to be, you know how Myron and them always talk about them hoes and the 304s? It's always about women be bitches, am I right? And it's the same scaremongering that snake oil does, right? Oh, the COVID vaccine is always about how much of a bitch the COVID is. Oh, that bitch will take your family and kill you all and blah, blah, blah. Buy my vaccine. And that's the Fresh and Fit model. Well, I mean, Fresh and Fit is the COVID model. But instead of virus, they're talking about them fucking hoes. But they say 304s, because if you say hoes, that might... Oh, I don't mind talking about our dicks all day, but I don't want the bad language, sir. All right, well, 304s. Oh, I get it, like the area code in Horistan. Yeah. Bass Pro Pink Bugatti. You know what? Pink used to be. Do you know, like here, Nick's probably old enough to remember. Stripper's probably old enough to remember. The rest of you have no idea what I'm talking about. But pink Cadillacs used to be like the most masculine car in the 70s. I think even, was it Clint Eastwood was in? I gotta look this up now. Pink Cadillac. Yes, it was. Pink Cadillac, 1989 comedy action. And that's Clint Eastwood. I don't remember anything about this movie other than the name. about a bounty hunter and a group of white supremacists chasing after. And holy shit, man, that does look pretty funny. Might have to actually watch that one. Null, you're an inspiring success story. Time to sab to Ryan's war room of excellent masculinity. It's the trading hall of masculine excellence, sir. Trading hall of masculine excellence. Speaking of which, I'm gonna do a little bit of shameless plugging right now. I am doing my best to try and grow my alternate channel, the gaming one. It's kind of neat. It's interesting. Digital Ryan, come on in. But the more casual stuff is there. It's not as structured as this, which is not very, but that one's more, anyways, you'll enjoy it. The Digital Ryan, the gaming channel. That's where Tekken for Pennies happens. We got my dick 9999 $5 heartfelt fuck you super chat. Damn, got here too late and missed it. Well, here's some coffee money anyway. Well, I appreciate that, sir. I tell you what. And then Ross the skunk. $10 double heartfelt super chat. Good morning, couch. You know what? For 3 heartfelts, I'm going to run this meme in the ground here. And Nick, you were late too. So enjoy the latest and greatest from Red Mornings.
So the meme, they're very good. This is really, they've taken it.
True Alpha.
Named Ryan Stone.
This says, ask Murphy about the article he wrote, cuckolding his wife. Clear up the cuck article. Clear up the cuck article.
Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me?
If I wasn't prepared to literally impoverish his entire bloodline,
I am now concerned for my career.
And I'm still recommending
Clear up the cuck article.
You know what? Fuck you for bringing this up. Yeah. Fuck you. Heartfelt.
I'm not gonna have those guys back on my channel again. Absolutely not.
Just use a little bit of fucking common sense.
It is just.
That's great. That's you should.
Fuck you.
Sorry, apologies.
Just keep going, dude. One foot in front of the other. Before you know it, this will all be in the rearview mirror. Fuck you.
I will never not entertain. Dude, these videos, they don't perform well. When I put them on YouTube, they do okay. They're not as good as a Mids Watch. They're not as good as this. They're okay. But I will watch that. It's one of the few things I make are these little promos that I can watch 20 times and I'll still laugh on the 21st watch. I just fucking love them. Make the content for you, not for anybody else. I love the half speed. Why are you doing this to me? Dude, there's so many. My favorite part is the Family Matters intro scene that I snuck into there. Clear up the cuck article. Yeah, the copy pasta. That's the other thing about this too, right? You have to watch these multiple times because my girl, that was her one problem. She watches these and she always critiques them. She goes, you got to slow down on your edits. You got to take your time, let it breathe, because I can't follow everything. I'm like, that's kind of the point. At first you just watch it and you take in the spectacle. And that's enjoyable enough. It's flashy lights and funny things and, oh, I know that guy, and you laugh. And then you kind of stop and you watch it slowly, or you eventually click. There's 500 small little Easter eggs inside of there. There's a Family Matters introduction episode, Clear Up the Cuck article. Wouldn't that be the greatest sitcom ever? There's the point where Jack killed his career, where you have the meme about we'll be right back. There's the Fist of the North Star fighting at the end when she asks about the cuck article for the 3rd time. There's the reference to Jack having gay porn. There's a reference to a red-pilled coffee I did on that blonde chick that's it's just that unless you've been a fan of the channel for 5 years, you will never get that reference at all. That's the Navy SEAL copy pasta, the Sigma grind set tunes, everything. Yeah, finding the Easter eggs is half the fun, and that's the thing. It's just it's not meant to be enjoyed in its completeness. It's meant to be incomprehensible, because that's kind of what we're doing here, isn't it? How many inside jokes, dude? The fact that we had a 5-minute conversation about adding a penny to a 5-cent super chat, and it's funny and engaging, and you all are in on the joke. If somebody new to the channel comes, they're not going to know what the fuck that's about. It's why are they talking about a penny? The fuck is that about? You're yeah, that's everything about this. Stupid inside jokes that are hilarious if you know. It's like British humor. It's like an onion. It has many layers. It's British humor. If you get it, you laugh your ass off. Anyway, I'm just kind of bantering at this point, so I'm just going to call it bants. Nani? I noticed too. So it's the original Fist of the North Star meme is what's that? Itachi wa Moshinderu. I don't know how to pronounce it very well, but this is like an alternate version of it from the TV show, not from the movie. And I'm like, I like that how it's just that little flip, and it's like, unless you're a huge fan of Fist of the North Star, you're not going to catch that either. Paul Potato's Minecraft cue nothing but inside jokes. That's the best part of it. Anyway, I almost forgot to mention, so we're doing the winding down part here. I think it's Paul hosting Rule Zero. Let me go check. I keep forgetting to check before. A lot of masculine geek shit. Or is that Nuke? Is that you hosting it? I can't tell. Oh, there it is. No, it's the Bear episode, and it's Paul. So I'm going to do a redirect. So as soon as you're done here, it'll automatically take you over there, and you can watch those guys rant about it. I have to go. I'm going to try to make it, but I probably can't. I might be able to sneak in at the end. But we'll have to see. It's the summer, fellas. It's the summer. It's the spring and the early summer. Many important things in my personal life going on. So I just don't really talk about it on here because like they're infants. So you can barely see them. There it is. Yeah. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Let's how do we want to end this one? Hey, any preferences or should I just pick? You know what? I'm gonna pick. Who's worth shitting on right now? Oh, I got one. You want the Tekken? All right, we're gonna end on the Tekken then.
If you're sitting there going, oh, my wife's a 3, I play Tekken for pennies, my name's Ryan Stone, your life sucks. Your life sucks. Your life sucks. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. You can't half do anything. It's better to do nothing than to half do something. You just have to accept it.
F it, let's go into ranked.
If I wasn't prepared to literally impoverish his entire bloodline, I wouldn't have done anything. So he absolutely nailed it. Don't start something you weren't prepared to finish.
Don't start something you weren't prepared to finish.
If I wasn't prepared to literally impoverish his entire bloodline, I wouldn't have done anything. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. My name's Ryan Stone. I play Tekken for pennies. It's all your fault.
I don't think I'm ever gonna go back to digging ditches. I fucking love this job, man. All right, guys, have fun. We'll see you on Paul's channel. Cheers.
79T 2458 Learning Corp Little Red Riding Hood. Take 1.